Okay, we're back. So let's get started. So again, welcome on this Monday morning. It feels like spring. We just had a beautiful weekend. The weather was outstanding. Anyway, today we are going to be focusing on a couple of new topics. So here's our plan for the day. All right, just we can jump right into it. Um, we are going to focus on Zoom and the basics of how to attend a Zoom meeting. It's been interesting in that if you rolled the clock back, let's say 3 months, before the whole coronavirus pandemic came into our landscape, or I shouldn't say not very few, but not a lot of people outside of the business world knew about Zoom. Zoom was a tool that businesses used, some organizations use, but all of a sudden we hit this stay-at-home period, and we now are finding that Zoom is being used all over the place, right? So we're going to define what it is, right? That's the first thing that I want you to leave this session understanding is a picture of what the Zoom platform is able to do. Number two, we want to spend some time talking about how you get set up for Zoom. And specifically, we want to make a recommendation in terms of what is the easiest way to join a Zoom meeting. Right? We're going to ask some questions. For instance, do you need to install the Zoom app? Do you need to register with Zoom? And then we're going to walk through the process of starting a meeting. And in this particular case, we're going to spend some time talking about the controls that you have for things like mute and video. For instance, I know that some people in our community are interested in turning off the video camera since they're not comfortable with that presentation at that point. So that's all fine. So we'll talk about those attendee controls that you encounter when you use Zoom in a meeting. We're going to keep this session a little short today in that I hope to wrap up that discussion before 10:30 this morning. That's 10:30 Central Time this morning. Because here's what I have in mind. I think one of the challenges of using Zoom is just an opportunity to practice. So toward that end, when we are done with our session today, at approximately 10:45, I am going to launch a Zoom meeting. And those of you who are looking for practice, I invite you to come in and connect to that Zoom meeting. Give yourself, in a really casual, informal way, give you a chance to log on to a Zoom meeting, join that meeting, play around with some of the attendee controls. I'll just be sitting on the other end here waving, and if anybody needs any help, I will be able to lend that help via Zoom. All right, so as I've looked at the various training videos and training programs around Zoom, I have found nobody that does a follow up with a practice session where I invite you to actually come in, and between 10:45 and 11:15 today, we'll just leave that meeting open and you can come in and practice. And then, of course, as we always do, we'll spend some time talking about how to follow up, how to learn more, and then we'll also preview next week's topic. As we have always done, right? One of the things we want you to do is to pretend that we are sitting around the kitchen table, right? And and with that, we're just a bunch of folks that are sharing stuff on our iPhones and iPads and our computers. We're just chatting about it. Although one of the things that I keep reminding you about this environment is that I cannot see you and I cannot hear you. Now, that may change if I get a few people to come on to our Zoom practice meeting after the session. But now, just because I can't see you right now doesn't mean that I don't want to hear from you. In that, if you do have questions or comments or feedback, I would invite you to chat now during the session on the right-hand side of your YouTube screen to take a look at the chat time topics. And if you're logged in, you can chat me a message, or if you want, you can send me a text message at the number that's on the screen. That number is also down on the lower bar of the screen. And then finally, if you happen to have a question as a follow-up, send me an email, and you can send it to questions@seniortechclub.com, and I'll be sure to get back to you. It's been great to hear from a few folks following our sessions. Nadine and Karina, Dee Dee have all sent follow-up questions, and it's great to hear from you folks, and hopefully I'm able to get back to you with answers. All right, let's get into the Zoom topic. And once again, we plan on walking through our presentation in about 30 minutes. It's going to be relatively difficult for me to do a demonstration of a Zoom meeting, but we're going to walk through the process, help you understand what's involved, and then come back and do our practice session at 10:45, and I'll show you the invitation for that practice session in just a bit. Okay, so what is Zoom? Well, it's a leading video conference system. They have seen incredible growth over the last 2 months. Information from them suggests that a few months ago they had approximately 20 million users, which is still pretty substantial. But in the last couple of months, their user community has grown to 200 million active users. It is clearly one of the leading video conference systems. It's used by schools, it's used by businesses, it's used by organizations of all kinds, it's even used by churches. So there are churches that are conducting their regular Sunday church services using Zoom. It's also used by friends and family for social gatherings. My family, we have used Zoom in order to have family Zoom discussions on weekends. I have a son out in California, a daughter who lives here in Maple Grove, and the group of us can get together and chat and catch up and see what's going on. So it has a very practical benefit for friends and families who are looking at trying to connect and trying to stay connected in this quarantine time. All right, so now you might ask the question, I think it's a valid question. How is Zoom different from FaceTime? So a couple of weeks ago, we looked at FaceTime, and we defined FaceTime as the video conference system, which is included on your Apple iPhones, iPads, and Macs. But conceptually, they are similar. Both Zoom and FaceTime allow you to do video calls or video conferences. A big difference, however, is that FaceTime only works with Apple products. But it's built in. It's already there. You don't have to register. You don't have to um, download an app. It's built in and it's easy. On the other hand, where FaceTime only works with Apple products, Zoom will work with Windows computers, Mac computers, iOS smartphones and tablets, and Android devices. So it's really cross-platform. It works with any number of different platforms. And that's one of the reasons why we use it in our family. Because as I've joked before, I actually have a son who has gone to the dark side and is using an Android device. All right, go figure. There's another benefit that Zoom has. Whereas you can do a group FaceTime with up to 32 people between Apple products, Zoom can literally support hundreds, perhaps even thousands of users. So if you are an organization, or if you are a church, or if you want to do big time commercial webinars with tens of thousands of people, maybe Zoom is a better solution, really the only solution available. Now, there are some other platforms that can do similar things, but our focus here today is on Zoom. All right. So one of the questions that comes up right at the very beginning, right, as people look at using Zoom, is the question, should I install the Zoom app? And the recommended answer, the answer that we're saying, is that yes, you should install it. Now, we're going to show you how to do that in just a bit. But if you install the Zoom app, what you're going to find is that your connections, your ability to connect easily to meetings is going to be much improved. If you don't have the app installed, you'll have to jump through a couple of other hoops in order to connect to a meeting. So in answer to the question, should I install the Zoom app? We are recommending yes. Question number two, as you jump into the Zoom thing, do I need a Zoom account? Now, a Zoom account would mean that you have gone to the zoom.us site and you have signed up, you've given them your name, your email address, and so forth. And the answer to this question is no. So that, in effect, the justification for saying no is that, I have this theory that, it's better not to give your name and email information to organizations unless you're getting some benefit, or unless you're getting some value from that. Now, here's the exception, however. You can attend Zoom meetings without a login account or without a Zoom account. You can attend meetings. These are meetings that are set up and scheduled by someone else who has a Zoom account. If you do want to schedule and host meetings yourself, then you would need to have a Zoom account. When you start to explore that, we're not going to cover this today, but you can actually create a free Zoom account where you can have meetings up to 40 minutes long. Might be enough for many social and family gatherings. But then if you do need to connect with more people or have longer meetings, then you're going to have to get into a paid account. And you're looking for, say, in the vicinity of $15 a month in order to have that type of service. But the basic answer for those topics that we are covering today, do I need a Zoom account? The answer is no. All right. So since we recommended to install the Zoom app, first question that comes up is, how do I install the Zoom app? Well, I'm going to recommend that you use the join meeting link found in your invitation, right? So every Zoom meeting that you start probably starts with an invitation that probably comes to you via email. It could also come in text, but it probably comes to you via email. Well, let's take a look at what that invitation looks like. So if you look at the box on the screen, it says, here's the invitation for our Zoom meeting. Join the Zoom meeting. And what you see below join Zoom meeting is a link. It's what the technical people refer to as a URL link. It's the same type of address or link that you would use to access google.com or yahoo.com or any of the other websites that you might frequent. In this particular case, you are going to a site that is at zoom.us. This is your meeting link. Now, there's two significant benefits to this meeting link. Number one, if you need to install the software, you can actually click on this link and it will start to take you down the path of that software install. I'll talk more about that in just a bit. Number two, if you have the Zoom app already installed on your your tablet or your iPhone or your computer, you can still use that link, that join Zoom meeting link, in order to quickly join a meeting. And in fact, that is going to be the fastest way for you to join that meeting. Now, there's a second component that you have on this invitation. That is the meeting ID and password. Now, we're not going to cover this today. It is something that I do cover in the online recipe, and I'll point that out to you in a bit. But if you already had the Zoom app installed and you were running the Zoom app, you could actually join a meeting by entering the meeting ID. Think of that meeting ID as sort of like a phone number like identifier that will get you into the meeting and provide you and allow you to enter a password. By the way, speaking of passwords, most Zoom meetings that are now running include a password. And so the password might come to you very similar to what you see on the screen, or it might come embedded in that join Zoom meeting link, right? In either case, it provides a layer of security to the meeting to ensure that you don't have miscellaneous strangers coming into your meeting, which has been known to happen. All right, so how do you install the Zoom app? All right, now I'm not going to do a demonstration of this process, but let's do a bit of a walkthrough. So if you go back to that invitation, all right, I'll just go back just to remind you. If you go back to that invitation, remember the join Zoom meeting link, that URL link? Well, it so happens that if you want to install the Zoom app, you can click on that link. And there is there is some logic built into that link where Zoom is going to look around to see if the Zoom app is already installed on your system, and if it's not, it'll actually start the download process. And so if you look at the screen on your left hand side, there is a download which is literally going to occur like this. And to do the installation, all you have to do is click on the file name at the bottom of this download arrow. Really straightforward. The benefit of using this link in order to install the app is you don't have to go looking around for it. You don't have to look for the right version. All of that is actually built into the link itself. So now what if you are installing on an iPhone or an iPad? Well, once again, you can click on the join Zoom meeting link found in your invitation. And this is assuming that you're reading that on an iPhone or an iPad. And that particular link will take you to the App Store. And that's the screenshot that you're seeing at the bottom of this screen. And there you see the magical words get. And if you remember, those of you who have attended um, sessions with me previously understand that get means free. All right, so get means you're going to install it and download it onto your device. Now, so you can use that same join meeting link to also install on your iPhone and iPad. Now, if you prefer, it is also possible for you to actually just go to the App Store and do a search for Zoom Cloud Meetings and install it ahead of time. You can also do that too, but that join meeting link is a very convenient way to get you started. All right, so in either case, whether you're doing this on a computer or on a device, you then will see a standard installation process, very similar to other apps or software that you would install on your system. Um, because you know what's happening. Um, you can approve and grant permission for that app to access your microphone, access your camera, and to make the necessary changes to your system. Don't hesitate on that. Um, those protections are there primarily for situations where you don't know that software is being installed on your system. So go ahead and grant those permissions as you walk through that process. Now, how long does that process take? Probably about 5 minutes, all that it takes. Now, there's another strategy that you can do in order to install the Zoom app, and I refer to this as method number 2, and that is Zoom has a test meeting location. If you notice, the address is zoom.us/test, so that you can enter that address into a web browser like Safari or Chrome or Microsoft Edge. It will take you to a page and it will actually start that download process, very similar to what we just talked about. Great strategy to do that before a meeting. Additionally, if you have any concerns about whether or not your microphone is going to work or your camera is going to work, you can also use this test meeting, and that will give you a sense of the workability of your device. Okay, so after the app is installed, um, it will go to the current meeting, right? It'll have you join that current meeting. But here's the point that I'm making. Once the app is installed, when you need to join a meeting at some later time, it's very straightforward, very simple. All you have to do is to click on that Join Zoom Meeting link. You will then get a message very similar to what you see on the screen where it says Open Zoom Meetings. You would click or tap on Open Zoom Meetings, and that will take you right into the application, the Zoom app, and bring you right into the meeting. Right? As part of that process, it will ask for some confirmation. It'll ask for confirmation on how do you want to do audio. And the primary strategy that most of us use is to use your computer audio. And then it'll come up and ask, do you want to join with video? Now, if for some reason you didn't want to show your face in the Zoom meeting, you could say join without video. But I think most of us are looking to do this because you do want to join with video. Okay, so at that point, you are now dropped into the meeting, right? And first thing I want to talk about in this meeting screen is I want to talk about the view that you have. Now, what you're looking at on this slide is what is referred to as the speaker view. Right? And so with a speaker view, the primary speaker or the person who is speaking is presented on the lower part of the screen with the bigger image. Other participants in the meeting are using smaller thumbnail images up at the top. Right? This is referred to as the speaker view. Up on the upper right-hand corner of the screen, there is a button that says Gallery View. So you would click on the Gallery View button, and this would take you into the Gallery View. The difference being, in the Gallery View, all of the participants are placed in video images on the screen. So if you had a meeting with 5 participants, you would see 5 images. If you go back to the other speaker view, here you see one primary. By the way, this one switches depending upon who's speaking. So if one of the people up on top starts to speak, they will flip down to the lower part of the screen. When when you are attending a meeting, the type of meeting that you're attending may dictate what type of view you're using. If you are attending a class, like if I was doing a Zoom class and you wanted me to be the primary person, you probably would use the speaker view, similar to what you see on the screen. On the other hand, If you just have a family discussion where you have a family group that's come together to, to talk, uh, and maybe even have a meal together, then you might want to use the gallery view where you can see everybody equally. All right, let's also talk about attendee controls. Right, so once you are in this meeting, you will have a set of attendee controls. Now, if you look at the bar with the numbers on it, the numbers are my numbers to help identify. But if you look at that bar, if you are running Zoom on a desktop or a laptop computer, this bar is going to be down along the bottom, and you're going to use it to then control various elements of this meeting. If you are running Zoom on a device like a tablet, like an iPad or an iPhone, you're going to find more of these controls up at the top layer of the screen, right? So what are they? Well, the first one, if you take a look at the icon with the microphone, this is your mute button. So that, if you are attending a training session, it's very likely the trainer will ask you to put your audio on mute. That just eliminates the feedback, eliminates some of the background noise, right? If you want to speak to the group, then you can click on the mute button again, and it will show, it shows similar to what you see right now with the microphone. When you're on mute, you'll see a slash through the microphone. Number two is the video control. So that if you come into a meeting with your video on, and let's say that you are interrupted, you have to attend to something else during the meeting, you can turn the video off by tapping on that stop video icon, and that'll turn the video off and replace your picture or your video image with your name, or it could replace it with a picture that you have supplied. Item number three is your participants list. So if you look at the icon on this bar, you notice that this meeting has two participants. But if you had a meeting with, say, 7 participants and you wanted to get a full list, tap on participants and it'll give you a list of those participants. Another function you have during the meeting is chat. Chat would mean sort of the equivalent of the chat on your YouTube screen, or the equivalent of a text message that you could send back and forth to other participants. When you do chat, you can send chat to the whole group, right? Or you can send chat to just an individual within the meeting. It's a handy way to just carry on a quick conversation, or pass along a quick note to another individual. And then the final item that we want to talk about under the attendee controls is the leave button. And leave means that you're going to leave the meeting. Now, you cannot stop the meeting or you cannot end the meeting as an attendee, but you can leave the meeting. Only the host of the meeting is actually able to end the meeting with everyone. All right. When you need to get more information about Zoom, I would invite you to go to the seniortechclub.com website and look up the full recipe. It happens to be recipe number 610, how to attend a Zoom meeting. Let me show you how to get to it. All right. Um, on your screen now, this is the live screen that includes the upcoming, right? Here's live 8 and live 9. This includes the upcoming sessions. It also includes the previous live sessions, right? So you can see live 1, live 2, making video calls with FaceTime. You have the ability to go back and revisit any of these sessions, including seeing a recorded archive of the video. Chances are, if you want to get into one of these screens, that you could click on Live 8, and that would take you to this screen, right? Now, this screen includes the link that you used to get to this video, but it also includes a reference down at the bottom. And this happens to be there's a typo here. All right. This should be recipe number 610 as opposed to 461. Sorry about that. A correction we'll be making. But you can then click on this link in order to get to the full recipe. So what does that recipe look like? Well, here is what it looks like, in that you have a full recipe, right? Here's a description of your invitation. Here's a process about installing the software, starting. There's a practice recommendation. Attend a meeting with a meeting ID, a topic that we didn't cover today. And it goes on. And in fact, it gives you a lot more detail of the topics that we explored. So I would invite you to go to this session in order to see the full recipe. Now we're going to come back to this in a second. In that I am going to go to this Live 8 screen, and this is the screen where you saw the link to come into YouTube. If you scroll a little bit further down, here is the information for our practice Zoom meeting. So remember, this is the Zoom meeting that I will host from 10:45 today, in just a few minutes, until about 11:15, where you can join this meeting and get a little practice working with Zoom. If you have never used Zoom before, the first step would be to click on this Join Zoom meeting link. You click on this link in order to launch the software installation process. All right. All right. Follow-up questions. As we always encourage you to do, if you have any follow-up questions, you can send me email at questions@seniortechclub.com. You can also go back to the Senior Tech Club live sites in order to see more information. And then there's another error on the slide deck. I'm sorry about this. Let's talk about Thursday. So our next Senior Tech Club live session is on Thursday, May 7th. It's at 10 a.m., same bat time, same bat channel. The topic on Thursday is the Books app. Now, if you're thinking that this time would be a great time to do some more reading, right, and you'd like to consider using your iPhone or your iPad to do some reading, the Books app is already installed. It is ready to go on your device. Best of all, I am going to show you on Thursday how you can also get free books that you can read on your device. Yes, these are ebooks that are available. Now, we've talked about ebooks before in our sessions, and that we a couple of weeks ago or a week ago we talked about the Libby app that allows you to borrow ebooks from your local library. Well, the Books app is an Apple product, and we'll show you how to use it, and we'll also show you how to find some free books. Okay, we're done for today. Unless those of you who want a little bit of practice with Zoom, as soon as we're done here, I am going to launch the Zoom meeting. The details of that Zoom meeting are, just to remind you, the details of that Zoom meeting are back on the Live 8 page that you started from today. And here you can find the Join Zoom meeting link. And aside from that, hopefully I'll see a couple of you for a little bit of practice. Other than that, I want you to stay well, stay at home, wash your hands, keep trying new things, and keep learning. We'll see you later. We'll see you on Thursday. Bye bye.